Yo, what's going on, man? This is Bracy Skills Clinics back with another episode of Spurs Talk. This is now episode 4. Once again, man, I appreciate everybody that's been supporting the channel. Great feedback. Um, yeah, man, we're testing out this new mic, so hopefully I sound a little bit clearer. Hopefully you guys can hear me a little bit better. And man, let's get right into it, man. The latest news with the Spurs, well, not really with the Spurs, more so rumors, is I'm seeing a lot about the Chris Paul thing. We seen Phoenix are gonna waive Chris Paul. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like for now. That he won't be there next year. And I've seen a couple articles where the Spurs may be a dark horse team that may make a move on Chris Paul. And so let's talk about this situation. I know some fans are 50-50. I've seen some fans that were like, no, we don't need Chris Paul. His age. Let's stay young. We don't need anybody, too old or doesn't fit the timeline. That's what they're saying. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I was I was kind of against it because I don't know how much Chris Paul has left in the tank. I mean, he's been hurt in each of the last. I mean, how many playoffs in a row has Chris Paul been hurt? 'Cause it might actually go all the way back to the Rockets, that 2018 series. He was healthy when he was on the Thunder and they played against the Rockets in the bubble. But if you really think about it, going all the way back, even the year they went to the finals with Phoenix, he's been hurt like at least off the top of my head, man, at least 3 of the last 5 playoffs. He's been hurt or hobbled. Even 2019, he was hobbled with the Rockets. So you know that was my thinking at first was how much of him are we gonna get? But when you really think about it, and we'll see if it happens. But I'm not against the move 100%, man. And the reason why I say that is because I think Chris Paul, because of his injuries, I think Trey Jones is still gonna get a chance to be on the court a lot. Chris Paul's. I don't see him playing back to backs. I mean, let's say he does sign with the Spurs, right? I mean, Popovich is definitely gonna load manage Chris Paul. But the most important thing is the mentorship he's going to give, not just Wembanyama, because of course that's the name everybody's talking about, but the entire roster. I mean, to have Chris Paul in that locker room, Chris Paul's not going to settle for bad basketball, losing games, bad habits. I mean, as far as a coach on the floor, I mean, what better way to see our young guys flourish and develop than to have a Chris Paul type in our locker room? I mean, every team he's gone to has gotten better. And I think you look at, people don't talk about this enough too, the the importance he played in the development of Shea is very underrated in this conversation with Chris Paul. I mean, he's been around a lot of good guards that were young and that were able to learn a lot of stuff off Chris Paul and were able to either turn into all-stars like Shea or just had a long pro career. And I think for Trey Jones, I mean, can you imagine what it's going to do for his development, having a Chris Paul in the locker room, giving him the knowledge, teaching him the ins and outs of not just the NBA, but just certain things, man. I think players learn from players better than anybody. I know that being a coach and a trainer myself. When you can have a player coach on your roster and then a Hall of Famer that I believe everybody's going to respect, and Chris Paul is something that I think Spurs fans should really think about. Now, of course, it's up to Chris Paul, it's up to the Spurs whether they make an offer or Chris Paul signs. I mean, he'd probably go play with LeBron next year or go play for another contender. I can see him going to Boston. I think it's a good fit up there. I can even see him going to Milwaukee and playing with Giannis. I think that's a good fit. So there's some contenders that can definitely use Chris Paul. But him coming to San Antonio, I don't think it's a bad thing, man. I really don't. I think it's like I said, it's about player development. And Chris Paul's going to give our team that. He's going to give the young guys that. And I think that's something that a lot of Spurs fans should reconsider, at least the ones that don't think it's a good idea. Um, I, we don't want 12 super young guys. Okay, vets are important, and Chris Paul's the ultimate vet, man. I think that'd be a good pickup for the Spurs. So I wanted to hear y'all comments and see what you guys say about Chris Paul possibly being a Spur. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. We out.